I'm here with our first guest, Jake Fagerland, an expert in Star Wars, as well as Othello. And today we're going to be talking about how IB English HL12 relates to modern media and culture. So, Jake, why don't you start us off here?
Okay, well, to put it in the simplest of terms, I'm a Star Wars fanatic. Been watching it since I was a wee lad, to say the least. And so every time I read a book or anything, I often will make connections to Star Wars, because Star Wars pretty vast, has a lot of lots of recurring themes and lots of very applicable it has an applicable vagueness to it, if you know what I mean. And but when I started getting really into Shakespeare in IB English 12, we read Othello, and I was like, Othello. I don't care about Othello at all.
I see. A reaction many people had, but please continue.
Yeah, there's lots of words, and there's lots of nothing happening, and you don't get it. So the farthest thing from my mind was probably Star Wars. But then I realized, wait, why am I getting such a Star Warsy vibe from this play? I could just start almost picturing it as a Star Wars story with this Shakespearean language. And then I realized, there might be some similarities. And so I was kind of just trying to figure out, who is the Vader? And I'm thinking, Iago must be the Vader, because he's the bad guy, right? But then I realized Vader isn't really the bad guy in the end. So I'm thinking, all right, who would that really apply to the most? And then obviously it's the title character, Othello. But Othello and Vader, they don't have much in common, right? How much could they possibly have in common?
Othello, he's black. That's the big difference in the play, a huge theme. And
it's true.
He started out being a little slave, so...
But right there, you think, Anakin, he's a white guy, he's a Jedi Knight, all these things, but he also started as a slave.
Oh, interesting. Please,
yes.
Go on.
He starts out as a slave on the planet of Tatooine, a desert climate planet, very similar to that of Africa, where Othello was from.
In fact, I don't know much about Star Wars, but I do think the Tatooine scenes were all filmed in Africa.
That's true. They were all filmed in Africa, which just reinforces my point that they're very similar, because they're technically the same place. And so, from here, Othello goes into slavery and becomes a child soldier. And similarly with Anakin, who is a slave and works for that alien bug man and does pod races, and then he ends up fighting in the Battle of Naboo as a child soldier. Now, in Star Wars, it's a little more lighthearted than Othello's past, and a little more uplifting and inspiring, but it covers the same points. Now, later in life, there are even more connections between Anakin and Othello, such as their love interests. Now, you might notice Padme and Desdemona are quite similar in many ways as well, in that Padme and Desdemona both come from very wealthy families. Padme being a queen and eventually a senator, while Desdemona is throughout just an aristocrat and wealthy and has this, this high standard in society. And also very similarly, there's this age difference whereas in Othello is much older than Desdemona, and while Anakin is much younger than Padme, but it still covers the same
that's
point.
A stylistic choice. But also, I don't know much about Star Wars, but in Othello, how did Anakin go from being a slave to his love with Padme? There had to be an in-between step.
There is, and I was getting to that.
Oh, okay.
I got right. You brought me right there.
All right.
The way that Othello ends up meeting Padme is because he ends up not Othello. Anakin meets Padme because he becomes a Jedi Knight, and he becomes recruited as a Jedi Knight because Qui-Gon senses the Force that's strong with him, while nobles and soldiers recruit Othello based on his skill and knowledge of warfare that he learned in his childhood. They're both like, Anakin is literally the chosen one, while Othello is just he's the chosen one, but not.
Yeah.
It's not a prophecy. He's the chosen one for his story. And but in this, Anakin and Padme fall in love in very similar circumstances as Othello and Desdemona, and that they meet in these societies. Anakin, a Jedi, meets this noble princess, and Othello, the general, now meets this nobleman's daughter through his connections as a soldier. And through this, we also see Anakin become a general as well. They're both generals in major wars of their time. The Venetians are fighting the Turkish, I believe,
Yes.
and the rebellion is not the rebellion. The Republic is fighting the separatists, and they both have this. They're very well respected in their field at this point and they both have this ability, this great ability. Anakin is one of the most powerful Jedis in the world, and Othello is one of the greatest generals that Venetians had ever seen. They both have these strong wingmen. Anakin has Obi-Wan. Othello has Cassio. And then everything's going great, right? Both their paths are almost exactly the same. And, they're on this thing, and everything seems promising.
Well, in regards to Desdemona and Padme, they're both considered forbidden loves, right? So how's it forbidden in Othello as compared to the Star Wars universe?
Well, as I touched upon, there's that age difference that is frowned upon in almost every society, apparently, no matter how far away in the galaxy. And then, while Othello is an outcast in that he's black, and Anakin is an outcast in that he's the rumored chosen one. People fear him almost. He's this force to be reckoned with. And Anakin and Padme can't be together for a variety of other reasons, such as she's in the Senate and he's in the Jedi. The Jedi Council, the Jedi Knights aren't allowed to have relationships, especially not with senators.
Oh, so this mirrors the way that in Othello, the citizens don't want Othello messing around with any white girls because he's black. And
exactly.
They take offense to that. So in this way, it's kind of the flipped, how the Jedi don't want any of their own mingling with anyone so they don't get their minds confused.
Exactly. Very similar.
Okay.
And now there's less of a race issue in Star Wars, but what are you going to do? And so, as I was saying previously, up to this point, everything seems fine. But then they're both introduced with a major conflict. Iago is introduced to Othello, who I guess he's technically already known. Well, actually, they've both known. Othello has known Iago for very long, and he's well trusted. Anakin has developed a very strong relationship with the Chancellor Palpatine, who turns out to be the Sith Lord. Both of these guys are very well trusted, very well respected, but actually pure evil. And both Othello and Anakin have this misplaced trust, in that they trust them because they give them this false hope, and this Palpatine gives Anakin the hope of being able to save Padme, who he foresees will die, while Othello is told by Iago that his wife is being dishonest and he has to do something about it. Both of them are posed with this choice in order. Othello thinks he's saving Desdemona by killing her. That's his plan basically. He has to punish her for doing this crime against him, the adultery. And similarly, Anakin thinks he's saving Padme from the vision he is seeing of her dying in dreams that he has.
So in Othello, Othello sees Desdemona as killing their relationship and killing their love, but in in Star Wars, Anakin sees Padme as being killed. So in both regards, they're trying to uphold something. So Othello is trying to uphold the virtue of a relationship, while Anakin is trying to save his loved one. So they're almost exactly the opposite, but in a way that's
the same.
Yeah, shows a similar struggle.
Exactly, very similar conflict there. And with Desdemona and Padme share almost the exact same fate. Othello strangles Padme. Not Padme, Desdemona. I get them mixed up because they're so similar. Now, Othello has to kill Desdemona. Let me go back to this one thing before we get into their fates. The necklace that Padme wears that most people don't really remember. It's a subtle little detail. Even I had to be reminded of it by one of my close friends. I was thinking of the handkerchief. It's such a major symbol in Othello.
Of course, it's in fact that's basically what causes Othello his undeniable proof that he must see, his ocular proof.
Exactly, and now both Othello and Anakin give their loved one this precious item. With Othello, it's the handkerchief, and with Desdemona, it's with Anakin, it's the necklace that he makes for her on Naboo, I believe. And then Anakin actually chokes Padme in much the same way that Othello chokes Desdemona. The only difference is that Anakin uses the Force. Now, Padme doesn't die immediately, but it is later explained to him that it is his fault that she died through the stress that he causes her.
A thing that just at this very moment occurred to me is that when Obi-Wan and Padme arrive with Anakin, he initially sees Padme, and then when he sees Obi-Wan, he says, "You came here with him."
Exactly.
So it's almost exactly the way Cassio and Desdemona are perceived in his mind to be having an affair. That never
Precisely. And yes, Othello had just seen Cassio and Desdemona together earlier in the day before he kills her. And and that's basically Desdemona and Padme's fate. While Othello and Vader have a very similar fate as well, in that now we're jumping to the end of the original trilogy, in that they both kill themselves in
response to all the evil.
Exactly, and to bring balance to the world, basically. Othello, feeling the guilt having killed Desdemona, who is innocent, takes his own life, and Anakin, who's now Vader, helps slay the Sith Lord for Luke to save the universe.
Oh, so that shows how they both have this realization of the evil that there is.
Exactly,
and well, I guess in Othello he sees that the evil is inside himself, but in Star Wars that must be different, I guess.
Precisely, Star Wars, the evil is more external, more just kind of almost generic, almost cliche. Iago is this very complex character, and you don't understand his motives. He's very, but he won't ever explain his motives, because after he gets the position he was trying to get, he doesn't stop anyway. He still encourages Othello to do horrible things, much the way that the senator makes Anakin kill little children Jedi and stuff. But they're both, Iago and the Sith Lord are basically both just representations of pure evil. Their motives are unclear throughout. There's theories that Iago is basically the devil. They fear him, and
so that goes to when Othello said, "I would look at your feet if I believed in such nonsense."
Exactly. And they insinuate that Iago might be the actual devil, and very similarly, the Sith Lord has these demonic eyes, this demonic look, and demonic voice.
The personification of pure evil.
Precisely.
The devil.
And then, if we were to go back to the beginning of the original trilogy, I'd be able to show you how almost the entire thing reflects Hamlet.
Oh well, let's keep that.
Yeah.
Maybe English 11. All right, I'm afraid we're out of time, but thanks for coming by and
Oh,
watching.
thank
the
you
show.
for having me. And
And
I love Star
see you
Wars.
next time.
Yeah, great show you got here. I got I think I